Hi guys, my name is Tiffany and welcome back to another video. So in this one, I want to talk about what it was like for me as a new grad NICU nurse.
Cause anywhere with you feels right. Anywhere with you feels like Paris in the rain. Paris in the rain. When I'm with you, when I'm with you, Paris in the rain. Paris in the rain.
So I'm going to rewind back to 5 years ago when I just started out becoming a NICU nurse, and I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there first that my only experience in the NICU was through my preceptorship, which is the last semester of nursing school, which I was able to do in the NICU. So that's really where I got my work-related experience. Other than that, I didn't have any other experience except for through volunteering. So I used to volunteer in the NICU as a baby cuddler as well, but I did not get to do any hands-on patient care or anything like that. It was really all about just visually getting to see what the NICU was like, and all I really did was just hold babies. So that's really all the experience that I had. So I just wanted to kind of share with you guys what it was like for me as a new grad nurse. So when I first started out in the NICU, obviously, of course, I'm now working under my own name as a NICU nurse. And the experiences that I've learned was through my orientation. So it was kind of a different type of experience in my preceptorship just because now I am a registered nurse. Of course, I have someone that I'm following along and they're sharing with me all this information and teaching me new things and stuff like that. But it was just a whole different experience because now I am way more hands-on. I'm doing things on my own, and my preceptor is there more of like emotional support and just helping me as a resource, and pretty much everything I was doing on my own. So it was just a different type of experience, and I remember starting out feeling extremely nervous just because honestly all the things that I learned in my preceptorship just completely was out the window because every hospital is so different. The way they do things is so different. Policies and procedures are so different. So pretty much everything that I learned during my nursing school preceptorship was so different than the work experience that I had as an actual nurse now. And so, of course, one of the things that I struggle the most and something that I get from you guys a lot is how to deal with time management. So I'm just going to tell you, when I started out as a new grad NICU nurse, I struggled a lot with time management just because really what we're trying to just get used to doing is how to manage our time and how to plan accordingly. And if you haven't been working, you wouldn't really know how to really plan for that. And so I tried to get in the habit of just trying my best at the beginning of my shift, go straight in and read on my patients if I have time. And if not, the most important thing is to at least go in there, look at your patient's orders, what is due for your shift, any labs or any diagnostic procedures or anything you need to prepare for. Just write those down and make a checklist for yourself. And then also the best thing, of course, too, is try to create some sort of brain sheet that works well for you, whether your unit has one that you can borrow from them, or I did create one for myself, but this is something that I made after doing years of working in the NICU and kind of figured out a system that works well for me. So I will leave this down in the description if you guys are interested. I will leave it down below, but I just noticed that having a sheet of paper where I can write everything down really helped me to visually see what I needed to do, because honestly, I am a forgetful person sometimes. I'm not going to remember what things I need to do at what certain times, so I like to have it all written out and I put them in little check boxes to make sure that I cross off all the things that I was able to do. But time management was something that I struggled with, so I just want to tell you guys, please do not beat yourself up for it. It's just something that's going to take some time, and eventually you'll get used to it after working on the unit for a while. So don't beat yourself up for it. But yeah, that was one thing I struggled a lot as a NICU new grad nurse, and just working the NICU on its own is a whole different thing, just because in nursing school you're really focused on general basics, learning all about adults and things like that. And so the tiny experience that I had in my senior preceptorship was just such a small portion of my whole 4 years in nursing school. So really what I tried to apply in my preceptorship didn't really work when I was trying to work as an actual nurse, just because, like I said, the things that at certain hospitals are just so different that really nothing was relevant and nothing applied even from my senior preceptorship. Of course, just very basic things like how to do head-to-toe assessment on a baby, normal vital signs for a baby, I was able to get through my preceptorship. But yeah, just small basic stuff like that. Other than that, just how to do certain certain things was just so different. So I just want you to take the opportunity wherever you end up going to just really keep an open mind, because a lot of things you're going to learn is probably something you're going to probably see for the very first time, or just however the hospital does it is going to be so completely different than what you're used to. So really just try to keep your mind like a blank space and try to absorb as much information as possible. But what I really tried the best that I did when I was starting out as a new grad nurse is, of course, keeping open mind, being very flexible with change, and always asking questions. So it's so important to make sure to go out there and ask the necessary questions. That's why your preceptors are there with you during your orientation. So they are there for you as a resource. And what you should really be doing too is also learning how to delegate, because there's going to be times where you're not going to be able to do things by yourself. And so one thing I struggle a lot with as a new grad nurse is figuring out what I'm able to delegate another task to another person. So depending on which hospital you work at, whether you have CNAs, PCTs, PCAs, whatever you want to call them, they are there as resources for you. And if you are lucky enough to get those kind of resources, definitely try your best to delegate tasks to those people, and that way you're able to multitask and do other things at the same time. So since I had my preceptor with me, I would try my best to do what I can do. So like my assessments, part of my care, and anything I can delegate, like feeding the patient, is just something you can just delegate while she's there. And obviously you want to get used to doing things on your own, because there will be times where you won't have those resources, but if you do, try your best to make use of it, and that way you are not behind on your own tasks. So that is a tip also that I have for you. But being a NICU new grad nurse is just a completely different thing, and I know a lot of people are wondering of what to do to prepare for it. And honestly, I'm going to tell you straight up that I didn't prepare at all when I started. I didn't do any sort of reading of textbooks or anything like that, just because I didn't have resources how they do now. And I'm glad that I'm able to share my experiences with you guys to learn from me. But honestly, when I first started out, there wasn't a lot of resources online, especially when it comes to such a small patient population like the NICU. I wasn't sure where to even start, what resources and books that I needed to read. So I'm going to share with you guys a list of resources and books that you guys can possibly learn from, and I'm going to share it with you guys right here. And that way, hopefully you guys are able to gain some more knowledge before you start out. But honestly, for me, when I started, I kind of went in there completely blank, just because I didn't know what resources to use. I didn't know where to start from, or who to learn from, and things like that, or what books I should read. So I want to share with you guys some of my resources that I have learned over the years, and some books that people have shared with me that have been helpful to them. So these are just some additional things for you. But honestly, when I went in, I just kind of went in for it with an open mind, like I said, a blank space to kind of absorb as much information as you can as you're learning, because like I said, everything is going to be brand new, a new type of experience that you're probably never going to see before, or even if you have, however the hospital does it is going to be different. So keep an open mind. And honestly, when it comes to another thing that was something that I struggle with, which is critically thinking, that is something that just honestly as well takes some experience and time. So it's not something you can rush or speed the process. You're really just going to have to give yourself a lot of patience and time to learn these things. And over time, when you start seeing similar diagnosis, similar signs and symptoms, then your critical thinking skills are going to get better. But as a new grad, honestly, you're not going to get those things right away, and it's going to take some time. So a lot of things that you guys are probably wanting to know or struggling with, and wanting to see if there's anything you could do to speed up the process. Things like time management and critical thinking is something you cannot rush. Other things you can do though to prepare, like I said, kind of create a timeline for yourself, timing yourself if you need to, creating a brain sheet that works well for you. That way you can write out all your tasks, and that way it'll make it easier for you to know what things you need to do. But it's just something that you're going to have to be a lot patient with yourself, because it's not something you can rush. And I would love to tell you all my tips for me to be successful as a new grad, but honestly, there's just things that I kind of developed and learned over time. And so there's just some of the experiences that I can share with you. So hopefully this video is helpful to you to at least know that you are not alone, and that I struggle just like you probably are right now if you are a new grad NICU nurse. And things that you're learning right now is something that I also was learning at the same time as you. And it's just something that I can't give you on a piece of paper what you need to memorize and learn and how to get better at things, because it's just going to take some time. So be patient with yourself, and just know, like I said, you are not alone. And I'm wishing you the best of luck, and stay tuned for my other videos. Bye.
'Cause